taming power of the small. Originally, the symbolism here is of the wind and the sky accompanied by the threat of rain. That the wind is only just strong enough to keep the rains at bay. And at the time when the I Ching was written, King Wen, who was one of its originators, was threatened with war from his neighbours, and he only managed to keep them calm by a continuous stream of friendliness, hence the meaning of this hexagram. A continuous stream of friendliness that keeps war at bay. And at the shadow, this is inertia. Life can be overwhelming at times, and even the best laid plans can go awry. Life can get us down. This is a truth that we have to live with. And if you succumb to the shadow frequency, if you indulge your negativity for too long, it will drain you of your life force. It will suck you dry. So the evolutionary movement towards awareness and towards the light can be fraught with disappointments. You know, we make a grand leap only to have a grander fall. And sometimes we feel we're back where we started. And sometimes we feel we haven't really got anywhere at all. These are the kinds of feelings that plague the ninth shadow. This is the ring of darkness. And the darkness presses in upon us. It coerces us to yield to it. And it causes us inertia. You know, sometimes when we gaze at the world, it's as though we are standing before this kind of vast mountain. And we look up and it stretches so far, far above us. And we think, how are we ever going to get up and over that impossible looking peak? You know, the very looking at it makes our knees feel weak. So what's the point of even trying? That's how the shadow has us think. These are the kind of thoughts that drag us down. And many of us these days live exhausting lives. We spend a great deal of our lives labouring under fatigue. We don't live beautifully and simply. We don't spend time with the elements, with the sun and the trees. And this is exactly what the ninth shadow doesn't want you to do. It wants you to be a victim. It doesn't want you to cultivate your own essence. It wants to lie down and give up. And the dilemma of this gene key is perspective. If you're looking up at the whole mountain, you feel overwhelmed. If, however, you decide just to look down at your feet, maybe you'll be captivated. The taming power of the small teaches us then to focus on small changes. You make small changes rather than attempting great things. And this is how we keep the shadow at bay. It's how people attain great things in life. They focus on small goals, small successes. You know, lots and lots of small successes add up to victory. So bring your attention to the small, to the details that make up your life, and try and make a small change. Now, if you have a negative pattern that's undermining you, don't take on the whole thing all at once. It'll probably floor you. Just try and make a small change. Now, maybe you're trying not to react in a charged situation with someone. Well, don't expect miracles. Just try and not react once. And then when you achieve that, congratulate yourself inwardly. You've succeeded. Hug that victory close, because if you can do it once, you can do it again. This is the change in perspective that is needed at every level to move beyond the grip of the ninth shadow. Look at the small things. Stay in the present. Then you won't even notice it, but one day you'll find yourself halfway up the mountain. And that's how we bring the light of awareness into our lives. Small steps, small steps. The ninth gift, determination. Determination may be a misunderstood term. It sounds like it involves a great deal of power or force or discipline or willpower. Again, this is why we fall victim to the shadow of inertia, because we see how much energy it's going to take us to get from A to Z. And we just feel that we don't have that kind of energy or that kind of commitment. So we just give up. But we've just seen that it's simply about small steps. You take the first step. Actually the first step is the hardest. It's easy because it's just one step, but the full weight of inertia is before you. So you have to be brave and you have to be the most determined, but only in the beginning. Think about this with your life. Maybe there's something you'd like to do, but you're afraid to do it. You're afraid to begin it, to take it on. So just take the first step. You see what it takes? What a threshold something so simple can be. Your mind sees the whole mountain. So don't look at the whole mountain, look down at your feet and just take the first step. And once you've made that first step, every single step that comes after it becomes easier. There may be big obstacles and breakthroughs on your journey, but that first step is with you every other step, and its power is incalculable. So even if you fall from the path, that first step can bring you back on again. And then we come to the power of repetition. You do something over and over until it becomes imprinted, not just inside your cellular being, but also within the cosmos. So if, for example, you pray for something over and over again from your heart, one day that prayer must be granted, so long as it's a selfless prayer, because that's a universal law. So you can only be versatile when you've determined the pathway forwards. And this is the beauty of the word determination, because it also holds the notion of predetermination. That once you get in the groove, the practice you're doing, it kind of holds itself up. The cosmos steps in to help you attain it, and it feels like this is something that just wants to happen. If you can make one breakthrough inside yourself, you can make others. You will make others. The gift of determination can also include working together with others, encouraging others, and learning from others. You create your karma of tomorrow today. That's the power of focusing on the present. So whatever your difficulties in life, bring your attention and your determination into the small, everyday, local details. And make your changes there. That's the foundation of magic. The transmutation of the small. The taming power of the small into light and into truth. The ninth siddhi, invincibility. We have a word that sounds like it's so powerful. Invincibility. Sounds like a kind of great archangel wielding a sword of power. And that's our masculine word bias in English. If you read the Tao Te Ching, it will tell you that the invincible is actually in the weak, not in the strong. It's about weakness leading strength. Remember? The old king controlled his warring neighbours through friendliness. Not through any show of strength, but through friendliness, through kindness. I'm reminded of Mother Julian of Norwich, the medieval mystic. She was a mystic who received God's transmission in a series of showings or revelations. And in one of her revelations, she's famously shown a tiny object before her, the size of a hazelnut. And she marveled at it and asked God what it was, to which he replies, "It is all that ever was and all that ever shall be." It's the essence of the world. Eternity in a grain of sand. Reduce everything down to its essence, And the essence, of course, is love. So the most powerful force in the universe is the feminine. It's water. It's the void. It's tenderness. I went out to see the sunrise with my daughter. She's 9 years old. There we are watching the most exquisite jewel of a sunrise. And there's all this mist hanging over the meadows. And the golden light is streaked through it in this kind of beatific haze. And it's truly magical, otherworldly. Ursula, she turns to me and she says, "Daddy, can I run into that?" Well, I'm not going to say no, because even though it's soaking wet long grass, I mean, I kind of had the same feeling. Off she goes, running and leaping into the golden dawn and this mist and this, skipping through the long, damp, misty grass. And as I watched her, I realized I was watching something immortal. I just had a moment. And if I could carry any single memory with me until the end of time, I would choose that moment. The young, innocent girl skipping through a field of magical, misty light. It was rapturous, it was enchanting. Afterwards, as I contemplated, I realized that is invincibility. It isn't me, the father, the strong, the protector, the yang. It's the mystery of the childlike, of the innocent, of the weak. You see, it isn't really weak, it's just delicate and subtle. This is the pure aeternus, the immortal child, the golden child that's crept out into the world. And it's this spirit that makes us invincible. It's all the yin qualities, softness, surrender, yielding, play, subtlety. That's God. To be invincible, you have to give up your identity, your attachment to the form. And you have to dive into life. You have to die to be reborn in eternity. And only that which has already died can be invincible. And then, of course, there's no death. There's only our love, cradled in the palm of love. Like a tiny hazelnut, eternal and precious, and sweet beyond measure.